All right, so geometry 12.5, circles in the coordinate plane. Sorry that it's past the Ohio State test. Again, seeing the formula would have maybe helped you remember it more. But again, it is a formula. You'll see this on your ACT if you take pre-calculus and your pre-calc. So again, try your best to try to remember it. We're going to compare it to distance and Pythagorean theorem, so hopefully that helps. Okay. All right, so here's the equation of the circle. So look at this picture here, right? So for a circle, there are two important parts, right? First is the center. So a circle on the coordinate plane. The center are going to be the coordinates h and k. This is your universal transformations, horizontal, vertical transformations. So if you do take pre-calc and you talk about transformations of functions, you'll see that. You'll talk about an algebra 2 as well. And then the radius is r, right? So this is your picture. X and y are a point on the circle. This is our fun-filled circle equation. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So let's talk about where the formula comes from first. So this formula comes from Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so it comes from Pythagorean theorem. So I hope you can see that in this picture, I could easily make a right triangle by dropping a vertical down, horizontal over. There's my right triangle. So remember, Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So let's let this side of the triangle be a. Let's let that side be b. Let's that side be c. So what is a? Well, a is going to be the distance in your x direction. It's the difference between this x and that x. It's the difference between x and h. There's your a. X minus h squared. That's an h. Plus, what's your b? Well, your b is your vertical distance. The difference between this higher y and this lower y. That is going to be y minus k squared. And then the c is the radius, which is the hypotenuse of that right triangle. And there is your distance formula. So it just comes from Pythagorean theorem. It really does. Okay. Now, a couple things. Notice here the center HK, they're both positive, but in the formula it's minus and minus. You have to remember that when the numbers come out, that they are opposite of what that sign is. So opposite. So for instance, say this said x plus 3 squared. Well, that would mean that in the center, your first coordinate is a negative 3. Okay, so be aware of that it's opposite of what it is. Secondly, say that there was no parenthesis with the x. So it said x squared plus y minus 2 squared equals, 9. Well, when there's no parenthesis, that means that this value of the center is 0. So for this circle, this center would be at 0, 2. So again, no parenthesis means a coordinate of 0 for its center coordinate. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So let's take a look at a couple different problems through Delta Math. All right. So here's my first problem. So here's this circle. We need to come up with the equation of the circle. So let me write down my equation. Parenthesis x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So we do need the center, we need the h and the k, and we need our r. Okay, so to find the center, what I would do is I would actually either eye it up, right? So I think I can see it there, or you can count from one side of the circle to the other. So if I start up here and count down vertically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just counted my diameter. My diameter is 8. My radius will be half of that. Half of 8 is 4. And then what I can do is I can now just count down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my center. That center is at the coordinates of -2, -3. And there we go. So we have our center, we have our radius, and now it's time to plug in because your radius is 4 and your center, HK, is -2 and -3. So we plug it in. So here I have x minus -2. Again, this -2 is not the minus sign from the formula. Plus y minus -3. Again, this negative for the 3 is not the minus of the formula, squared. And that equals, and our radius is 4 squared. Change your double signs to positive, and square the 4 to get 16. So here we go. X plus 2 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 16. 16. And that should be the answer. Parenthesis x plus 2 squared. Remember, you can also bring up the keyboard if you need to. I don't need it though. Plus, parenthesis y plus 3 squared equals 16. 16. But my answer, there you go, green check mark. All right, let's do one more of these. Okay, so here's my next circle. So again, try to eye up the center, or you can count the diameter if you want to. I will start with the formula again. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. If you want to remember something, write it down over and over and over again. That's why when you do your vocab or your Spanish, they make you write it down many times so you remember it. All right, so let's count the diameter from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So your diameter is 4. So your radius is half of 4, which is 2. So count 2, 1, 2, and there's your center. Your center is at the point -1, 0. You go left 1, but then you don't go up or down. This is your h and k. Okay, so we're going to plug in what we know. So x minus -1 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 2 squared. This becomes positive, so we have x plus 1 squared. The minus 0 goes away, and this just becomes plus y squared. And then I square my 2 to get 4. And there should be my equation this time. Parenthesis x plus 1 squared plus y squared equals 4. And again, just to show you down here, right? Oh, sorry, give me 1 second. No, I don't. I want to show you so this is the a squared button, remember? And you can use parentheses too down here if you want to as well. So yes, I do want to submit that. And yes, I am right. All right, next kind of problem coming. All right, let's take a look here. So we need to determine the equation of the circle graphed below. So they give us the center, and they give us the a point on the circle. Now, if you notice, if you try to go up from the center, you can't get to where you need to count to. It's more than 3 here. So the radius is not 3. We have to find the radius using Pythagorean theorem. And I'm going to show you how right now. So that's the first thing I want to do. I need to find the radius. And the way I'm going to find the radius is by using Pythagorean theorem, making a right triangle. So from this center, I'm going to draw my radius. I'm going to drop down a vertical, draw over a horizontal. Sorry about the small triangle. That's my right angle. I need to find this x direction and that y direction. And to find my radius, I'm going to use x squared plus y squared equals r squared. So x is 3. So this is a distance of 3. Y is 1. So 3 squared plus 1 squared equals r squared. Type in 3 squared plus 1 squared in the calculator. That's 10 equals r squared. And actually, instead of finding r, we need r squared. So this is where we're going to stop. We're not going to take the square root. I don't care what r is. 10 is not a perfect square. So now, once we stop here, we're now going to fill in what we know in our equation of the circle, and I think we'll be done. So remember, your equation of your circle, I'll change colors, is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So the center, 6, -5, is your h and k. 6, -5 is your h and k. So plug them in. So x minus 6 squared plus y minus -5 squared equals, and then your r squared is 10. R is not 10, r squared is 10. So notice when I write this 10, I'm not forgetting the squared. I'm not going to write it because r squared is 10, not r. Change this double sign. X minus 6 squared plus y plus 5 squared equals 10. And there's your equation. X minus 6 squared plus y plus 5 squared equals 10. Submit it, and we're good. Okay, let's do one more of those. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's take a look at this problem here. So again, we need the equation of this circle. So again, when they give you these 2 points, go ahead and connect them to make a radius. We're going to find the radius squared by using Pythagorean theorem. It's going to be x squared plus y squared equals r squared. So I'm going to drop a vertical down, a horizontal over. There's my right angle. This is my x, and that's my y. So my x is 3, and my y is 2. So I'm doing 3 squared plus 2 squared equals r squared. 3 squared and 2 squared is 13. That's your r squared, and you stop. That's going to go in the formula. So now, negative 3, 6 is my center. That's my h and k. So over here, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So h is negative 3, so x minus negative 3 squared plus k is 6, y minus 6 squared, and r squared is 13. Not r squared. So that's why the squared goes away. So understand when to put the squared and when not to. All right. Change that double sign to a positive. So x plus 3 squared plus y minus 6 squared equals 13. And there we go. Let's check. Parenthesis x plus 3 squared plus y minus 6 squared equals 13. Nice. All right, so this is the first video. I have another video coming up explaining a algebra 1 concept to help find the center and radius of a circle. So be prepared for that. All right, thanks for watching.